Welcome back to The Ed Show. As much as the Republicans would like to believe last night's election was all about President Obama, it's just not true. It's about the economy. It's about jobs. It's about rising unemployment and some numbers coming out Friday that could be shaky. Exit polls showed, look at this, 85% of Virginians were worried about the economy over the next year. In New Jersey, that number was 89%. What the election did tell us about President Obama is that he needs to chalk up some economic wins that can be felt on Main Street. And this is the one thing that I've been saying all along. Oh, we saved the economy. That's what the White House is saying. What does that mean to somebody that doesn't have a job or can't find a job or is waiting for unemployment benefits and sees all the bad news out there? Let me bring in Peter Morici. He's a professor at the University of Maryland's Smith School of Business and former chief economist of the U.S. International Trade Commission. Mr. Morici, professor, is this a fundamental problem with the way we're approaching this? Or is it just voter fatigue last night, the results? What do you think?
Well, I think there's a fundamental problem in the way that the Obama administration is approaching creating jobs. What got us into this mess was the banking crisis and the huge trade deficit, especially with China. During the campaign, he talked about fixing those things. Even Pelosi talked about fixing the banks. But now we see most of the largesse has gone to Wall Street. 1% of GDP is going to be paid in bonuses to a couple of thousand people. And nothing's been done much about trade. You know, the stimulus package can only do so much. It's a temporary fix. When the money's gone, it's gone. At the end of the day, the regional banks, which are failing all over the place, and trade have to be fixed if President Obama is going to create jobs on a lasting basis.
Okay, now, the number one job creator in this country is small business, the institution of small business. And just last week or week before, the president ordered the TARP money through the Treasury Department to get to these community banks to help lending and ease up credit and such stuff as that. Is that something that will have an effect within the next 6 months? And I say the next 6 months because if we go to the third quarter of 2010 and we're not creating jobs, it's going to be really a tough midterm for the Democrats.
Unfortunately, that initiative, it's a good initiative, but it is going to have a very limited effect. The real problem is we have 8,000 regional banks that have a lot of bad loans on their books, commercial loans, not just residential mortgages. The TARP was intended to clear all that stuff out, but instead the TARP was used to bail out General Motors, but more importantly, to subsidize Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan, where they're paying people $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year on average.
It's a double standard, no doubt about it. But the fact is here is that if we can get money to small business, and this works, if we can get risk takers back in the market, money's cheap right now. If they'll just get it to people, the jobs will come around. Or am I simplifying it too much?
Well, there's two parts to this. You've got to get money to small businesses, which means you got to make a lot of that cheap money that the New York banks have available to the smaller community banks. But the second thing is American businesses need customers, and Chinese products are so subsidized coming into the United States from an undervalued currency and other stuff like that, which he promised to deal with when he campaigned in the Midwest and is now deserted. My feeling is the president, he doesn't know a lot about economics, and he's not supposed to. He's being very badly advised by Tim Geithner and Larry Summers. These Northeast intellectuals, frankly, aren't much interested in Midwest manufacturing. The good news for the president is the Republicans are clueless. Cutting taxes, less government ain't going to get us there.
Yeah. And one final point, you use the word arrogance in your most recent article. Explain that. Where has the Obama administration been arrogant when it comes to the economy?
Well, let's look at health care. You know, if we did talk on torts reform, the drug companies and the insurance companies in the manner that Senator Rockefeller so capably outlined, we could lower the cost of health insurance even as we covered everybody. Sure. But instead what we're going to do is tax people indirectly by raising their premiums to extend coverage in any of the bills we have right now. I'm all for health care reform, even though I'm a conservative, because the health market is not functioning properly. But we're going to have to get in there and get at the dysfunctions so that we can make things less expensive for everybody and get everybody covered.
Professor Peter Morici, appreciate your time tonight. Thanks so much.
It's my pleasure.
You bet.